It's time for Inside the Gamecocks, the show with Phil Mullinax and JC Sherbert.
So, how many of you would say you speak English fairly well, but with some difficulty?
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son.
You play to win the game.
Now, let's take it away, JC and Phil.
Show, JC Sherbert, Phil Mullinax here with you on Transfer Tuesday. Right? Is that a good?
That's it. Yeah, Transfer Tuesday. That's aptly named.
A good name of the shit for the show here.
Like we all know, the portal giveth and the portal taketh away.
Yeah, I've been pretty busy for the last 24 hours. Starting with the coaching search scoop yesterday, and right on through till Jaheim Bell transferring out. Surprisingly,
Right.
I'll tell you this: it was kind of a shock in terms of the timing when it happened. Of course, Jaheim was selling T-shirts on Twitter 3 hours before he announced, and our guys at the Big Spur talked to people close to him, said everything was status quo. So, kind of a surprise in terms of the timing. I'll tell you this: that the decision at the end of the day, more NIL opportunities played a factor with him. We cut out the commercial with him here, but that was not a very large. It was large, but it wasn't super large that we paid him there. Not as much as some other folks are forking out there in the NIL world. Good news is on the Big Spur, the members have kind of gotten together and encouraged everybody to join Carolina Rise. Folks, Carolina Rise has probably grown 30-40% since yesterday.
Nice.
And NIL's just, it's important, and people just give a little and it adds up. And I think that's been the power of the Gamecock Nation. There's not a bunch of billionaires walking around, right? But there are people that love the Gamecocks and that'll give $15-$16 a month, and it all adds up. And I feel like at South Carolina we can have robust collective opportunities if everybody continues to stick together and give and things like that. And I know it's you're saying, well, hey, we're giving you money, JC. Yeah, so there is some trust that has to go into that. But like I've said from the beginning, Carolina Rise is not a for-profit enterprise or something that it's a for-profit LLC, because you have to do that because you're paying players for services. There's no charity. It's not like a college football charity. And I really honestly didn't feel like setting up a 501c3 and then having them do all this charity work and all that. My Carolina Rise is pretty much cut and dry. Premium dollars for things of premium value that don't take a lot of time. And in this day and age, when freaking Instagram influencers are getting $100,000 for a post, there's a lot of value in what the players can do in a few seconds or a few minutes. And that's kind of our philosophy at Carolina Rise. We don't get into life skills or anything like that. We're not, that's not us. The other collective does, and I'm not knocking them. I think that's fine and that's great. That's just not my philosophy. And it's probably because I've kind of looked around and seen what the other SEC schools are doing. And the focus of Carolina Rise 100% is to make sure the student athletes at South Carolina, especially football, baseball, men's basketball, the primary sports that where it's highly competitive, in terms of what other schools are doing, is to make sure those guys are taken care of and that it contributes to the overall first-class experience they have at the University of South Carolina. So if you're not a member of Carolina Rise, go join. If you can. If not, some people give $5 a month, man. And that I'll explain this and then I'll get off the subject. I did a deal that was not disclosed. We didn't make it public for a kid. It's a significant walk-on at Carolina. Needed book money, right? So did a deal with him. Had him do some promotional stuff for me. So 3 folks, all they could afford was $5 a month, right? So that's what, $180 a year? Mm-hmm. You're in the ball game for that deal.
Right.
I'll throw in $20 and you got that deal taken care of. And so it's stuff like that. People don't realize that it just all adds up. And I respect the person that gives 5 just as much person that gives 50,000. So that's awesome. And it's just been an awesome outpouring. And I think with that part of what I do, the collective part, I'm more encouraged than I've been in a long time, because it just sort of died during the season. And you just, you never know what people are thinking with the ebb and flow of the year and stuff like that when you talk about people spending money. But we're in recruiting season and portal season and all that, so I think there's a big awareness for it. And certainly I want to give a heartfelt thanks to everyone that has jumped in since last night. So Jaheim's gone. I think that of the 4 that we've always talked about here, Phil, if you could lose one, I'd probably choose Jaheim.
Well, I mean, you hate to take a cynical viewpoint of it, JC, but when you look at it as underutilized as he was this year, and you still managed the 8-4 record.
Yeah.
That's one way to look at it.
that is very good. And I think too, it's that laid the groundwork, like Marcus Satterfield's gone. So, the usage and stuff like that was a situation. And some people may say, well, Beamer's just taking his sweet time on the coordinator hire. No, that's fans being impatient. Jaheim Bell didn't leave because there was no offensive coordinator in place. Jaheim Bell left because the groundwork was laid for this, given his usage during the season. And you get frustrated, and your parents get frustrated, and your family gets frustrated. And then what happens is, I don't know that directly other schools talk to you, but you do hear things through the grapevine. It's a fact of life. Mac Brown said the other day, 15 different schools have been tampering with one of his players. 15 different schools have been tampering with one of my players.
15.
Mac Brown.
NIL.
Chapel Hill, University of North Carolina. But anyway, so that happens. And that's reality in college football. And it's the NCAA's fault. I mean, they're a bunch of blithering morons. And I don't mind saying that and hypocrites and whatever else you want to call them. I'm sure there are some good, nice people that work there that have their heart in the right place, but it's really an evil empire, and it's a weak evil empire. It's one of those weak evil empires that they don't have anybody's best intentions at heart, and they hide behind sad platitudes and hubris and whatever else you want to call it. I'll never forget when they got sued for NIL the first time. Mark Emmert was like, well, we're worried that these corporations are going to have negative influence on our student athletes. And so the lawyer was just like, he put up a picture of the NCAA champions at the Final Four in front of a Nissan banner. Well, how much Nissan pay you for that?
Right,
well,
right.
$7 million. Okay. And if there's such a bad influence, why are you having the players stand in front of it? Man, it just doesn't make any sense. Why is there corporate branding all over your court? That kind of thing. And so I think it's completely out of control. With NIL, I think I've got a nice plan to help South Carolina do what I can. If I could return everyone's money tomorrow and get completely out of it and it didn't exist, that would be fine with me, in terms of the rules. Although I do feel like if you did that, you would need to, start compensating the players in some way. But we can get into all that at some point later. So the Gamecocks lost Jaheim Bell in the portal. He's, like I said, there's other guys to worry about. I have not heard anything about this being a domino effect. I don't think Spencer Rattler's walking out the door because Jaheim's gone. Right. I don't think anybody is, to be quite frank with you. But I do think that, I think anytime you lose an explosive athlete like that, it is a loss. But I think the Gamecocks can overcome, especially, the thing I loved about Jaheim was he could not Jaheim, he didn't have really a position, and you could play him different places. I always thought he was an F receiver for the record. But the good news is because he's versatile and he doesn't play, a position, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's a guy that, you can kind of afford to lose, I think, to a certain extent. So
well, it's Trey Kenyon season, JC. That's what it turned into. You know what? That's what we should support Trey.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. Oh, no. And I'll say this. I'm sorry. I just got a text message. Matt Berry apparently tweets, Dan Mullen on the Rick Newhouse show, South Carolina's going to hire a great OC. It's just not going to be me. So Mullen has shot it down, right there. So anyway, yeah, I think the Mullen thing's passed a while back, but nevertheless, that's the deal there. All right, so sorry, I'm distracted by a lot of things right now, so that's why I'm kind of muddling forward here. Phil, let's go ahead and cut to the first break, and then we'll come back with the Nana Sports chat box and hook up with our homies here. Inside the Gamecocks, the show will be back after these messages.
Golfers and wannabe golfers, former Gamecock golfer Meredith Taylor is now a full-time golf instructor in the Midlands of South Carolina. In-person golf lessons are held at the Country Club of Lexington. Half-hour, on course 9 or 18 holes. And if you're outside of South Carolina, Meredith conducts virtual lessons. Just send in your golf swing for analysis. Gift cards are available for in-person 1-hour lessons. Connect on Twitter at Mayor Taylor and find her online at McKellarEnterprises.org. Her email is on the website. Schedule your next lesson today with Meredith Taylor, former Gamecock golfer.
Gamecock Nation, do you need a place to stay for the big game? Many hotel booking engines keep all the commissions, but at Fan Plans, you support Inside the Gamecocks, still earn your hotel loyalty points, and you receive an email with direct confirmation from the hotel. Whether you are visiting Columbia to cheer on Carolina or hitting the road to follow the team, get in the stands with Fan Plans.
This is Coach O. Now back to the show. Go Tigers in the song.
Welcome back to Inside the Gamecocks, the show, everybody. JC Sherbert and Phil Mullinax here with you. The first hour of the show is brought to you by Cindy Searfoss and the Coldwell Banker Kane Realty team here in the Upstate. Give Cindy a call at 864-414-5271 for all of your upstate residential needs. And don't forget, we are presented by Express Sunrooms of Columbia. Give John Barber a call, 803-446-4662. And looking ahead, JC, John is going to join us on Friday about this time. That should be a very lively interaction.
Bigger news, Bo.
Bigger news. He's excited too. He's fired up.
Have you ever talked to John?
I have not. I've only texted with him, but I can feel the energy coming through.
There's a lot of energy.
Yes.
I know Chris Phillips has the high energy segment on this show every week from the Spurs Up show, but John is a different type of high energy. Oh, I'm going to tell you one thing right now. It's going to be awesome. Nana Sports, award-winning Nana Sports chat box. Congratulations to Nanas, by the way, on all of their success. Brian checks in. Morning, fellas. Is it a coincidence we're going after 2 high-level tight ends and 2 of ours transferred? Either way, trust Beamer to smash it in the portal on the recruiting trail. Yeah, I mean, I think they'll replace those guys. And like Phil said, Trey Kenyon, I thought when he played this year, he looked a lot faster, a lot more athletic, a lot more big time. And he got better than the last year, too, 2021. But Trey looked pretty good. And I think his blocking's good. I also, you look at the kid from Maryland. What's his name? It's funny. It's a easily pronounced name. Yeah.
Dippy or something?
Dupree.
Yeah.
Dupree. He's a stud, and they have kind of an inside track on him. So if you can get him, that's great. And those are true tight ends. That's another thing, with Bell is like, if you the good news about a guy like that leaving is it's like you're not like, oh my God, depth is gone at this position or that position. And I know he was the starting running back. And I think part of that was because Beal Smith and Lloyd were banged up. I don't know what the deal with Rashad Amos was. Juju McDowell's not really an every down guy. I think they just found a solution to sort of, pave the way. And it paid off, right?
Right. Do you think some of that was to preserve some red shirts within the running back depth?
Well, I don't know. I mean, Amos had a red shirt. Well,
maybe not Amos so much, but I'm thinking like Turbo Miller, even like spot duty, I guess, for Lavoisier Carroll, even though we know he's just now getting his feet wet. And I mean, I'm sure we used what we had. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, I'm just thinking maybe that may have influenced some of that.
Yeah, Amos is the big question mark for me, Phil, on that one. But
no doubt.
You're right. And look, I'm going to tell you this right now. Dante, if he comes back, he's got a shot. He's a good player. He's a really good player. Cynical says, good morning. Good morning. J. Rock says, not too surprised Bell transferred. Thanks, Sap. But we'll go get some guys. Beamer's got this. We need Ollie Jennings. I didn't mention this. I've been talking about Jaheim Bell. Austin Stogner transferred out too. I don't blame him. I think Stogner probably is a little homesick. I think obviously with him also he disappeared, and problem is he disappeared when like everybody was sharing the wealth, right?
Right.
Like Clemson and Tennessee, he didn't get in or do much. Blocked pretty well, I thought. I think Austin's got to get stronger and faster. I don't think he's as slow as people think. I think he's pretty athletic. He's got really good hands. I don't think that they figured out how to use him either, or Satterfield didn't really use him like he should have been either. So, Austin Stoddard probably going back to Oklahoma. So just wish him the best. I mean, at the very least, he got Spencer Rattler here, or helped get Spencer Rattler here, help make the introduction, right? So, can't blame that kid want to be out. And Kreger says Atkins beat Stog out, basically. Yeah, by the end of the year, I mean, there's really, if you evaluated the two and just didn't know who 44 was and who 18 was, you'd take 44 over 18 every time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Morning Gamecock 76 says, head ball as well. Yesterday sure ended with a bang, sheesh, but today's a new day. Hoping we can short things up, keep the boat rocking for Gamecock Nation. Yeah, absolutely. Aaron Riddle says, let's support our athletes on Carolina Rise. If you hadn't already, made a small contribution yesterday. More to come. There we go.
It all adds up. It's like, the Bernie Sanders of collectives. No.
Yes, it is.
I hate to use that reference, but, But you could do it just to, because that's the thing about our fan base is that they're loyal. We're loyal to a fault even sometimes, but at the same time, we're massive in numbers and very motivated. So that's the thing is like every little bit does help. As cliche as that sounds, but in this new landscape, I mean, we are where we are. If you can give.
Yeah, I mean, look, Bernie Sanders was kind of honestly, and please don't think I'm a Bernie.
I know. I hate bringing it up because I'm
just looking at the
liberal. JC and Phil went liberal on us.
I'm looking at the fundraising model, right? And,
right.
And I noticed that, he, it's just a bunch of crap load of people giving $25 or so. So I mean, that was kind of what I had in mind when I started Carolina Rise, because I think that there's power numbers in the Gamecock Nation. There's not a lot of billionaires walking around, but there are folks that they'll give you what they've got because they love the Gamecocks, and that's good. Grodney says, good morning, guys. JC, plug and play, baby. Got to find us another gym in this portal. Let these kids go be great. Yep. I agree. I think Carolina's probably going to have a pretty good portal class this year as well. Atkins and Kenyon in the bowl, two good ones. Yeah, I think that'll be good for them. JC, would you and Phil be so kind as to share the welcome home yesterday? Now, that would cheer me up. I don't know that it's going to be anybody that you guys are super familiar with. I know from what I was told, it's not Mazio Bennett. Now, that's the only thing I know. Brian says, welcome home had to be Mazio Bennett. That's what I was told. No, but who knows? Sometimes people try to keep things quiet or whatever. I do think Carolina can flip Mazio Bennett. I do. Aaron says fans need to band together. Let's quit bickering back and forth, get the bag, and go to the playoff. Yeah. Lance says 18-0 at one club for the win. Lance, I've got something for you in the mail. I'm sending you today, so you can what do you call them? Your lattes for your lattes.
Yeah, for the lattes. Something for the lattes.
Yeah, so there you go. Jeff Fowler says incredible times we live in. Pay for play, truly amazing. Yeah, like I said, I would rather it not be this way, but it is. Kevin says slow day in Gamecock country. I don't know. I think you could have some news at any point. John says
considering some other schools, though, I mean, we've been fortunate.
I think so compared to some other schools in the portal. Well, I mean, and John brings it up. Holy Cowboys, the Big Spur board is a mess right now. The sky's apparently fallen. You forgot we're 0-4 with the best class in school history on deck. And yeah, the best two wins back-to-back school history. There is a small group of people, and look, man, bless their hearts, right? And that's not – I'm not an old Southern woman, so bless your hearts does not mean F you, like people say. They were like, well, how does an old Southern woman say F you? Well, she say bless your heart.
Bless your heart.
I'm not saying it. I'm not saying F you. I sincerely mean the bless your heart, right? They're very anxious and nervous. And I think it's probably because they've been there before and been disappointed and had their heart ripped out. It's been till this season, it's been a long 10 years, folks. Think about it. Very few moments of glory. Most of the time when Carolina would win the last 10 years, it was almost relief, because there was never in a big game, I mean, even the win at Georgia in 2019, huge win, right? Carolina outplayed them that day, right? Huge win. Well, in that game, if you remember, Helinski gets hurt. Joyner's hanging on for dear life, did a great job doing it. The defense is playing good. Fromm keeps throwing picks. You have to kind of think once Parker White missed that field goal, you're probably sitting there going, this is not going to end well. and then Georgia misses their field goal and Carolina wins. And it was almost relief, almost relief. I think the last two games where it wasn't relief was probably the first two in 2017, Muschamp's second year. And then that Kentucky game happened. And it was just kind of, man, that whole season too, Tennessee sitting on the 2-yard line. Tennessee didn't win an SEC game. They're sitting there first and goal from the 2 and don't score. I mean, relief, like I'm saying. And for me personally, it was that way too, especially when Jay Bentley was the quarterback, because, I know Bobby, I know the Bentleys, and, I was probably their biggest fan and stood up for them, right? So, it's just one of those things. So it was tough on me too. Tough on me too. Although I think Jake took a lot of unfair criticism. Anyway, JC, you're a Bears fan and do a ton for the Gamecock Nation. I trust you. Ha Ditka.
You just want to hear beef sandwich. That's what 76 is fishing for, Chicago accent. That's what it is.
Beef sandwich.
Yeah,
Saunders says nonprofit regulatory requirements are much higher than for a profit corporation, but before profit, you have tax burden, but you retain privacy, perks of each status. Yeah, I'm eating the tax burden, any kind of thing. Well, I mean, what you do is you 1099 everybody, that you pay out on. But if there is any tax burden, I'm going to eat it. Gladly do it, folks. Gladly do it. I have a great job, 2 great jobs. Really, this is a job now too. Clint says, I agree, JC, Rattler and Wells are the ones I hope come back. Of course, I'd love to have Lloyd back as well. I just think the other two are the straws that stirred the drink, so to speak. Yeah. And look, the feedback, even when I came in here yesterday and said it looked like all 4, the feedback I got late last week after the shows on Friday was that of all the people that have quote unquote demands or whatever behind the scenes, or that have needs or NIL desires, I guess, the Juice Wells was like the one that didn't, and it wasn't talking about going pro all the time. And he's the one that could. Now, I'm not guaranteeing that anybody, will not leave again. I can't guarantee that. But I think, I think Juice and Rattler and Lloyd, to be honest, are guys that, Carolina's really going to try to keep them in the fold.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's a perception issue with the whole portal thing too, JC, because it's like, okay, so let's say we were talking about Jaheim Bell declaring for the draft. It changes the entire narrative. It's just the fact that it's the portal. That's what makes it, so discussion worthy, I guess. So it's because I was thinking about that last night. I was like, what if he just declared for the draft? We'd still be missing him. The end result is the player's no longer on your team. It just feels a bit more personal because it's the portal.
Exactly. Yeah. And the draft's just like, hey, yeah, go be great. The portal's like, yeah, especially when you think you could end up at a team you have to play every year.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I also would not rule out Florida State in this situation, just based on some information I just got for Jaheim. So we'll see. John wants to call you Gamecock Socrates from now on, Phil. He is philosophical.
Philosophy.
I'm philosophical. Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. Thanks, John. Hunter asked if I thought Bell was going to enter the portal before it happened. No. And that was based on information I got like at 4:00.
Yeah, right.
Before he even entered.
We were as surprised as y'all were on that one.
I'm sitting there on a group chat I'm a part of, and somebody sends the screenshot, and somebody had sent like a joke text about like what's his name? Will Shipley entering the portal from Clemson. Yeah. And then you click on the link, and you probably shouldn't click on the link. But but then, so we're all joking around, or they're all joking around, and then all of a sudden I see this screenshot of Bell's. I'm getting in the portal, and funny. And then it's like, nope, unfortunately, that's real. So it's like, whoa. Chuck says, hey, everyone, JC, you think Bell's a dipper looking for a better NIL deal and stays if he gets it, or he gone? I would, based on a conversation I had about right before we got on the air from a good contact inside the program, he gone. And they're like, good, leave. It's just one of those things where I don't think anybody was happy with how it was handled. And I'm not saying that he didn't have a gripe and his parents didn't have a gripe during the season, because I've been on that bandwagon the whole time. So, we'll see. Will says, why aren't USC advertising these collectives like other schools? Patience, grasshopper. That's going to happen from what I was told again last week. Just don't Trey, don't count out Ray yet on that, right? I know they've been slow to do it. They've had a lot going on in that area, and I understand, but unlike like the website and the show where we're media and they have gatekeepers and stuff, like, you have to, and I love Steve Fink to death, and you always have to request through him, and he's a great guy, and that's fine. I understand why they have to do that, and it's not adversarial, but they have their own media, and unlike these businesses, that is a collaborative effort. They've helped Carolina rise tremendously, hooked us up with some lodge seats to auction off. They just hadn't gone out and publicly promoted it. And I'm not sure quite why just yet, but my understanding is it's coming. So there's the deal right there. Lance says, let's hook it up. Trey Kenyon. Right. Saunders says, anyone book orders through SeatGeek and get your orders canceled, look up email this order canceled for 150 more. Man, I have to talk to, I know you got it through Fan Plan, Saunders. That's not, like I said, Fan Plans is a new thing. And so it's tough because I tried to get some customer service stuff through them. And then they said, go to the chat. So I am sorry about that. But like I said, it's a new thing. So I'm kind of feeling it out too. Will said, why is Park Avenue on pause? Because of the NCAA. Here's what happened. Everything was cleared. Everything was ready to go. So the NCAA subcommittee They're just trying to figure out this NIL stuff. And this is how hypocritical it is, because you have this subcommittee, and Gene Smith from Ohio State, I think, is part of it, or maybe not part of it, but certainly spoke about it. And he's like, we need to get a handle on how it's influencing recruiting. I'm shocked. You remember Casablanca? Y'all remember that movie? I'm shocked to find gambling's going on in here. I'm shocked, I tell you. I'm shocked. Play it in, Sam. Yeah, of all the gin joints and all. That was a great movie, by the way. Casablanca.
For sure. Mm-hmm.
Here's looking at you, kid. I used to have a friend that looked like Humphrey Bogart. Bye. I'm waving at my fiance. She's going to an office party at 11 o'clock in the afternoon. I just got a text. JT Daniels has jumped in the transfer portal again. How many? Hey, there she is. Hello.
Hey.
How many daggum? How many schools can he possibly go to, dude?
I don't know. Maybe this is his grad transfer, and he's gonna, that way he won't have to sit out a year. Or
like Carolina's basketball player, like your Eric Stevenson. Yeah, maybe it is his grad. I don't know. Eric Stevenson went to his fourth school, right? So I'm sitting there thinking about Eric Stevenson. And I'm like, all right, so he started at Wichita State in the cornfields of Kansas, Midwest kind of Great Plains, whatever. Then he went back home to Washington and played in Seattle, that's where he's from. And then he came down south, South Carolina. And now he's at West Virginia, which is sort of, has access to the Northeast because it's right there outside of Pittsburgh. So he's really seen four parts of the country. And I'm like, hell, if I was a basketball player, I'd probably want to do the same. Volume shooter, right? So maybe that's what
– lottery pick. Yeah, go take the tour.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. JT Daniels has been Southern Cal, Georgia, West Virginia. So my guess is what? Missouri, Kansas State, Nebraska?
Nebraska. That's what I was just sitting here thinking, Nebraska.
Hey, Marcus Satterfield should coach JT Daniels next year. That's super. That's super. Tyler says, where's Eric Shaw when you need him? Probably still 211 pounds, Bo. Yelled at Delt for help. Best of luck to Bell. Is Bowers eligible to leave Georgia? If so, could Delt transfer? I think Brock's got one more year. I don't know about Delt transferring, man. He's all dog. He didn't get to play. Joel, realistic Joel, keep in mind he lives in Louisville, and I don't think he's a big fan of Louisville or Kentucky. He goes, guys, it could be worse. Could be Louisville, realizing that Cincinnati is a better job than the Cards. Yep.
Yeah, at this time, yeah.
Scott Satterfield, which, by the way, he's not related to Marcus, and somebody on the message board yesterday goes, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, because there was a receiver that just went off on Scott Satterfield after he left for Cincy. And everybody's like, they're not related. Like, well, I'm just, he backed it up. It was good. Clint Morrison likes Cameron Sandlin. I do quite a bit. So that's good too. Rick says, as the news of Stodner and Bell signed, things are going really good with Nick Harbor. I don't think they're related. I think Stodner and Bell had the same reasons that the transfer was kind of planted in their head, and that was usage. I think at the end, though, Stodner wanted to be close to home. And look,
because I think 24/7 is actually showing that he's going back to Oklahoma.
Yeah, he wants to be back close to home, and he's got some work to do before going to the NFL. But so that's A, and that's fine. I mean, look, you recruit a kid from Texas, and you go, you always run the risk that they're going to be out just because it's far. And there's a million places to play within the vicinity of the Dallas Metroplex. Steph was at Burns yesterday. Good.
Yeah, he was all over the upstate yesterday.
Michael Smith, 4-star 2024 tight end. There's almost 3,000 players in the transfer portal as today. Good Lord. Todd says, can I get more information on how to donate to the players? Yeah, Phil, could you put up, send him to CarolinaRise.com.
Yeah. Let me put
CarolinaRise.com. So there we go. Yeah, CarolinaRise.com. Yeah, it's no. Yes, Todd, you're able to give a one-time contribution. Give it to him, and I'll explain this. Garnet Trust does have a foundation where they have the guys go do charity work. You can write it off. Unfortunately for us and the other Garnet Trust, you can't. But look, do what you think is right. I'm just going to say that. CarolinaRise.com and all that good stuff. Kenyon has just as good a ball skills and ability as Bell if he can continue to get faster and quicker. I think as a pure tight end, Kenyon's better. Because I don't think Jaheim's a tight end. Never have. So that's the deal there. Trace says any word on Beamer's contract? They are working on it. I expect it to go up significantly. And I think he's deserved it. All right, B Hughes. Okay, that's fine. We got you on the Garnet Trust foundation, right? CarolinaRise.com, man. Just do that. So John says, heard yesterday on Sirius that only half the portal entrants found homes. For the other half, the career is just over. So dicey. And it's sad. It's sad because, yeah, you're right. I mean, grass isn't always greener on the other side. And some of these kids think that, I don't know, probably that they're better than they are. And that's unfortunate. Quantrell says JT Daniels is trying to get his doctorate. He's probably already got a doctorate. This guy's probably got like a double doctorate. So it's crazy. Adam says, I don't blame these players. Use the system that uses them and get those degrees. Agreed. My son's friend played quarterback for Western Kentucky, Tarleton State, and now UIW, and has 2 masters and is working on a PhD. Heck yeah, you'll be a professor.
Nice.
What?
That's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. Free education your way all the way up to a doctor.
Yeah, that is crazy. Quantrell says, will ever get to a point where portal recruiting will be more important than high school recruiting? I don't think so. I think all this craziness, I think, for the reasons everybody stated, that only half the guys show up, I think people are going to really start backing up and going, wait a minute. Do I want to risk ruining my life and what opportunity I have to jump in the portal because the latest outrage or unhappiness. Now, Jaheim Bell had reasons to do it, right? But, some guys, they just do it, and maybe they're not, and what often happens is guys that aren't quite far enough along in their development, they don't play, but they think they're much better than they are. I think that's happening in Alabama right now. Some of these guys that have left, they're not ready to play, but they're pissed off they're not playing. Although there's some guys that did play that left Alabama. But, and they're like, oh, I'm going to go play here and ball out when, here's the bottom line on recruiting and football. You have to develop. I don't care who you are. Jadeveon Clowney had to do some developing. Trevor Lawrence had to do some developing. Marcus Lattimore, he didn't have to do a lot of developing, but I'm sure he learned some stuff. Marcus was pretty much college ready when he came in. But anyway, all right, guys, we got to get to a break. Sawyer Nix with The Mental Edge coming up after this break on Inside the Gamecocks, the show. Hey, man, are you sick and tired of your business computer guy?
Yes, he takes forever to call me back and doesn't always respond to the requests.
Yeah, same here. I'm paying him good money. I constantly have issues. And I'm worried he's not backing up my network and securing it properly.
You know what, Phil? Let's ask Stone Blanton.
Hey, JC and Phil, if you want a solution to your IT problems, give Heritage Digital a call. Our boy Matt Odom has a low-cost, one-price solution that will get you running right. Call 843-699-1001 or heritagedigital.com and ask for Matt. He will hook you up today and tell them Stone sent you.
If you're looking to sell or buy multifamily property right here in South Carolina, the Burgesson team of RE/MAX at the Lake can help you get to closing fast and easy. Adam and Derek Burgesson both are very proud Gamecocks and are more than happy to assist you with any of your commercial real estate needs all across the state. You can email Adam at aburgesson@remax.net. That's ABERGESON at remax.net to get your next deal underway. The Burgesson team, proud sponsors of Inside the Gamecocks.
Family vacations, a new car, a new boat, all cost money, but you don't necessarily have to make more to afford any of that if you can save cash that's flying out the window now. iHelp Consulting can help you finally get the kids to Disney World, upgrade the minivan, or drop that new boat in the water next summer. Let Daniel and iHelp Consulting consult with you. No fees, just savings. You pay them a percentage of those savings. Save on essential services, credit card fees, you name it. Let them find it. These folks are incredible. iHelpConsulting.com. How can I help?
I used to be president of the United States, and I love the show with Phil and JC.
Welcome back to Inside the Gamecocks, the show, everybody. JC Sherbert and Phil Mullinax here with you. We are joined now by Sawyer Nix on the McKellar Enterprises guest line for our Mental Edge. Sawyer, how do we handle everything that's going on in the portal right now? How do we temper our expectations and just live with ourselves?
I think part of it's, again, just take a breath. Like we talked about, when you get in a jam, the first thing's not to bring out the toolbox, and sometimes that you make things worse. When we react and we're in a jam, it's, I think, the best thing to do, take a breath, take a step back. I think we've all agreed that no matter what's going on internally, we all agree that Coach Beamer is taking us in the right direction. So I think part of that is reminding ourselves, okay, there's going to be some changes staff-wise. There's going to be some changes roster-wise, which was going to happen anyway. We knew it was going to happen. So don't be surprised by that, but just hang tight. We're going to lose some. We're going to get some. And then we're going to figure out how to take steps forward in the spring and then in the summer and then going into next season. I think for right now, it's hard for us to do. We're immediate society. We're give it to me now, give it to me yesterday. I want it now. I want it my way. I think that's the biggest factor in this working against us. But what's best is for us to step away. All right, let's just see what happens. Let's just see what plays out. We're still going to be loyal Gamecock fans. If we put up with some of the stuff earlier this season and other seasons, we're not leaving the Gamecocks. We're going to hang in there. So,
for sure.
Talking about Sawyer Nix, the mental edge. I think that's the thing, and I think sometimes the fan base, and rightfully so, sometimes kind of waits for the other shoe to drop. And I'll say this: it's not. Jaheim Bell's not related to Austin Steiner. It's not related to Spencer Rattler or Marshawn Lloyd or any kind of decision like that. I do think that there's, just because they left doesn't mean these guys are leaving. And I'll also remind everybody too, man, nobody really left last year that was significant, right? Nobody who made plays except Jamar Brown, who made plays in one game, left. And Carolina's been pretty fortunate under Beamer with the transfer portal. And that's just because, I think he has built that great culture. And kids want to stay. They're not chomping at the bit to get out. They kind of are comfortable there. I mean, some of the guys that have left, like Jordan Davis and those guys, they left because they weren't playing. Darrell Ware left. He hit the portal. He's good enough to go play someplace else. He's just not scratching at South Carolina, and there's nothing wrong with that. But as far as playmakers go and NIL and all that, that is Jaheim. That was Jaheim, and that was a wake-up call, I think, for a lot of folks, because I do think they've been fortunate. So Sawyer, when you're deciding something like a life change, like a family moving schools or something, what should go into it, if you're making a healthy decision? Because I know some people out there have kids and they're taking jobs and, trying to make career moves and stuff. I mean, one guy on the message board today, it's a friend of mine, asked for prayers because of a new opportunity. How do you usually handle major change?
Yeah. Well, I think one of the first things is don't stop pretending that things are going to be easy. I would say acknowledge, and most people would say, oh yeah, it's hard, but no. Take a moment, just say, this is really hard. This is really tough. This is not easy. And just hang out right there for a minute and then kind of, again, catch your breath. All right, now what am I doing going forward? If it's something that's taken a couple of days to a couple of weeks to decide, there's going to be some uncertainty and doubt. But part of that is that self-talk of, all right, I'm not making this decision on a whim. I've thought about this. I've talked to my family about this. This is what's really best. Now, what's really best doesn't mean it's easy. Even for these athletes, what's best for them doesn't mean, oh, they don't care about Carolina anymore, the ones that are transferring out or the ones that are leaving other schools. That's not the case. It's not easy. So I think one of the things is acknowledging it, and then also just having a plan, just putting together a plan of, here's the steps I'm going to take, and there's going to be some emotions that are going to be strong. I'm going to be sad. I'm going to be angry. I'm going to be excited. I'm going to be all of those in the same 5 minutes, which freaks guys out, right? Stereotypical guys. We don't want to feel emotions and all of those things, but that's normal. And I think part of it is acknowledging that and going back to our plan. Another big factor is to our day-to-day decisions is a core belief. So a core belief is really how we view ourselves and what we think of the world and how we operate on that. And two people can go through two different situations, or two people can go through the same situation and have different experiences. So that can be something tough. Somebody can say, you know what, it was just a bad day. I'm going to redo what I can, fix what I can, go after it again tomorrow. Other people are going to, oh, this is awful. I'm worthless. Nobody loves me. Nobody at work listens to me. This is the worst day of my life. When we have those statements, those core beliefs, that's going to spill over into how we function and operate, which is not good. That can lead to frustration, anger, anxiety, depression, substance abuse, jealousy, low self-esteem, problems handling stress. So really, it's important for us to kind of focus on what we believe and in our core beliefs and how we view situations. And that doesn't mean that those situations are easy, but we also need to be open to not letting that belief sabotage our lives and sabotage the progress that we can make, whether it is moving or whether it is taking a new job, whether it is quitting a job, having the strength and the gumption to tell a boss, you know what, I'm not taking any more of this. I've made a decision. I'm hitting the road, or whatever other changes it is. It's not easy. I think it's what do we view is most important. What are our core beliefs?
Core beliefs. That's something that I tell you. It's I think it's very important for people to develop those, at an early age. I know that. And I think they can change sometimes. I think it's okay. I think it's okay for them to change. I think that, the romantic viewpoint of it is, oh, I've had my core beliefs, like a James Bond or like a, Braveheart or something, William Wallace. I've had my core beliefs for my whole life. I won't ever let them go. But I think sometimes they evolve. I think I know that there's some things I used to value, and then I look back and I go, I was young and dumb. Some ways I've treated people before, and I was young and dumb. So I think that's important. Well, Sawyer, the bowl game, Notre Dame, Carolina. Your thoughts on Carolina, things working out. Getting the bowl matchup they wanted.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. I'm excited about that matchup. I'm excited that Gamecock fans got the bowl that they wanted. All those are positives, and what an opportunity. I think that's what Coach Beamer verbalized is, hey, we have another opportunity. And so I think for the players in the next couple of weeks, have final exams, taking care of all those tests and projects, and you got the holidays with Christmas coming up, and they'll take a little break for that. But I think just viewing it as, here's the next opportunity. No different than they viewed the Tennessee and Clemson games. They view it as an opportunity. And we didn't give them a chance going into Tennessee game, but they believed. And they said, here's an opportunity and they seized the day, swept the nation, won over Gamecock hearts everywhere, and repeat it in the next week, versus Clemson. Again, shocked the nation, gained the hearts of national pundits and the 4-letter network and the 3-letter networks. And, what an opportunity for them to, again, take another step. And I think it is big for the program. And sometimes people throw out bowl games. Oh, it's just a bowl game. The rosters are different. It's not the same. Kids aren't motivated. And there's, I think this is a great opportunity. It's a great opportunity. Coach Muschamp always point out there's unlimited practice. You get to run practices for the younger guys, so they get to develop. And I agree that that's a great aspect of going to a bowl game, is you get some guys that maybe haven't had as many touches or as many plays. They get into action some. You get a chance to reward some guys, put in some special packages that you're probably not going to do during the regular season. Hey, let's throw this guy a bone. He's been working his butt off, and this is his last party, and let's have at it. So I see that as, bowl game's different, but it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity for the Gamecock brand to make a statement. It's an opportunity for young guys to get some practice time in. And it's an opportunity to put an exclamation mark on this great season this year.
Yeah, I agree with you there, man. Beating Notre Dame means something. So, and going back to the Gator Bowl means something to this fan base too. I mean, I remember growing up, gosh, during the '80s, the Gator Bowl used to be the Outback Bowl was the new Gator Bowl. Went to Jacksonville every year. It seemed 80, 84, 87. Gamecocks brought 60,000 fans all three times.
Wow.
But, Jacksonville's I think there'll be a pretty big crowd there. All right, Sawyer, we're going to let you run. We appreciate it. And as we get into the holidays, we'll look forward to talking to you about that. We talked about stress over Thanksgiving. Can't wait to start talking about stress over Christmas, man.
Well, hopefully, remember, everybody, take a breath. Enjoy some hot chocolate, Christmas tree cake. That's my wife's favorite. I bought her a Christmas tree cake T-shirt. So enjoy those if you can find them, but not too much. Take a breath, take a step back, enjoy what you have, and challenge those core beliefs if they start to go sideways.
All right. Thanks, Sawyer.
Sure. Thanks, Sawyer.
Yeah.
I think
I had a Christmas tree cake for breakfast this morning, JC. I love those.
They are tasty.
It's the best Little Debbie, and it only comes out every once in a while. I know, it's like zebra cakes, and some of the other ones are like, it's made of the same thing. It's just not the same.
I want a Christmas sweater with Cam Smith's face superimposed on a squirrel with like two big nuts. It says "Drop your nuts."
Your nuts. Yeah.
Or Cam Smith like in his uniform, like looking menacingly at a squirrel and be like, "Drop your nuts."
Drop your nuts. Yeah.
Merry Christmas. I don't know. I don't know. So back to the Nana Sports chat box, because I had something in here I wanted to get to. Tiffany says, some reason logic's doom and gloom on the forums. People screaming we are broke and losing our entire team. I should disband the program. Two things can be true. Number one, we do need more money for NIL. And the response has been tremendous, Tiffany. And you've been generously a member since day one, so you get it. I think everybody else needed to kind of like, oh, wait a minute. So there's a positive that comes from that negative. But there is this group that does think, and they're still clinging to the Beamer, hasn't hired a coordinator yet. So that's why Bell left kind of situation. Oh, things are going to go awful, blah, blah, blah. And that's just not true. Connor says, what's up with Spencer? Is he staying? It's not official. I think he could stay. I think he could leave. I think it's up in the air, but I think behind the scenes, I think there's some quiet confidence that he would. Just kind of depends. Noah has a good point.
You'd think he'd be a prime candidate for opt-out, if he were to leave.
Yeah.
And he's going to play in the bowl game. He's said as much. So I think that's a positive sign. Not that you can read too much into it, but it's a positive sign.
Yeah. Noah says transfer portal wasn't looking to be as good for us as I thought. Thought it would be a good way to add to the talent you had here at South Carolina to help boost the talent compared to the more traditional blue bloods. But you're getting fish in the boat, losing fish you already had out the back of it. I can't agree with that because, look, I saw this is what I want to address. Okay, so Spencer Rattler, Juice Wells, Nate Atkins, Amorian Brown, Jalen Brooks, all transfers. Okay. All those guys were instrumental in the last 2 games in one way or the other. Maybe Amara just on punt return, whatever. So I don't know what you mean by just because Austin Stogner, who got beat out by Nate Atkins when all is said and done, left. I mean, are we talking stars? Because I think Juice Wells probably qualifies as a 5-star, right?
Yeah, is he not going to play in the NFL and probably have a long career?
Right.
Right.
I mean, and that's what I'm saying. I mean, you got to hit on these guys, but I think so far, South Carolina has not been damaged hardly at all.
No, and just because they declare all these 3,000 kids in the portal, it doesn't mean that if you don't snatch them up right now, they're going to just disappear or go somewhere else.
Yeah,
there is no end date to this portal. They could literally stay in there until spring.
Yeah, I think literally, Phil. I think it is accomplishing, his talent supplement. I think because of the portal, Beamer's way ahead. Even going back to like Jason Brown last year when he was 4. I mean, if they had played Jason Brown, they wouldn't have won the Florida or Auburn game.
No.
I mean,
and that was the other thing I took heart into yesterday, is especially after Bell declared for the portal. Just we have a head coach at the University of South Carolina who is adept in functioning in the new college football environment. We've seen it. He uses the portal. He's a good recruiter on the back end of that as well. So he's picking up local kids. It appears that they're making fairly decent evaluations across the board. And just because, somebody is a 5-star, freaking phone, it doesn't mean you want to snatch them up out of the portal. Because here's the other thing too, is like, you can't completely degrade your culture just because you're trying to load your team up with 4- and 5-star talent out of the transfer portal, or you end up getting with, what A&M had this year. Is that what you want?
Yeah, that's true. That's a very good point, Phil. But he did quote you: "The portal giveth, and the portal taketh away."
It does indeed.
That was an epic tweet yesterday, by the way. Follow Phil Mullinex on Twitter at Phil Mullinex, by the way.
I probably wasn't the first one to come up with that, but it was the first thing I saw when I because I wasn't able to interact with socials at all for a while yesterday, but that was my first reaction as well. It giveth and it taketh away.
Kreger does not like Christmas tree cakes, unfortunately.
Craig, that's okay. Everybody's got their own tastes.
Joey says, Phil, I bought a Christmas tree ice cream. It's awesome. Get it at Walmart. You will thank me. Now, does it taste like a Christmas tree cake or like a Christmas tree? Because that would be like eating a pine, the air fresheners in your
drinking some pine sol.
It tastes just like a Christmas tree. Give me. I take the jardiniere and I put the beef sandwich down and I put the pine sol on top of it. It's good.
That's it. Smells good, so it ought to taste good.
Chucky says if we don't lose any more players to the portal or opt-outs, they may lose some more, but hopefully nobody significant, right? Don't get obvious scooping scores blown dead. Yeah, that's happened twice in a row in those 2 games, right? In the Tennessee and Clemson game, there's both 2 scooping scores blown dead that shouldn't have been, which is amazing. Avoid spotting them a couple of scores. We'll beat Notre Dame by 14. Notre Dame does not have their quarterback, by the way.
Yeah, that was, and there's the other side of it, because the portal isn't just affecting your team. Notre Dame lost its starting quarterback.
I forgot about Jordan Strong too. He was a portal guy. Big loss for this year. Sean said playing the portal's like playing poker. Everybody wins and loses. Good players win more than they lose. That's true. I just think that, okay, so I just touched the mic like an idiot. I'm gonna finish up this point. We'll get to the break. I think that with the way they rank the portal these days, it is a emerging science, right? It's not like the star ratings, which were significantly worse in the early 2000s before there was film and stuff like that. I think the guys that do it are kind of figuring out. I think this year's rankings, the portal rankings, will be better than last year's. But I think there's a lot of clinging to the high school ranking and stuff that took place last year and all that stuff. I mean, DJ, to me, from Clemson, is probably a 3-star transfer. because like whereas Spencer Rattler had 1 year where he lit it up, did DJ really have that? I mean, he played well against Notre Dame. He's got a lot of mileage out of the Notre Dame and Boston College games when he was a freshman during the pandemic. But I mean, but he's going to be up there, because people don't want to let go of that 5 stars because they want to be right. In the end of the day, Noah, thanks for saying. I don't think Noah was. I think Noah's just worried about losing 2 good players and worried if they're going to pick them back up. But just remember this staff too: David Spalding, Jordan Strawn, Nate Atkins, Jalen Brooks was the old staff, and they got tattooed for taking him. Outside of Rattler, nobody was really turning backflips for any of these guys, So,
right.
And they're good. So, I think when you look at the NFL draft, you'll know sometimes the FCS and G5 guys are better than the Power 5 guys, and they're not ever rated that high. So, I don't know. It's kind of interesting. Joey says, "What year's Mo Cobb? I hope he has a couple left." He does. He'll be back. All right. So we're going to take a break. We'll be back. Nana Sports chat box. We got some stuff from the mailbag off Twitter. Any breaking news that comes in, we'll continue to let you know. Once again, Matt Berry from ESPN tweeted Mullen said, not going to be the South Carolina OC, but they're going to have a fantastic one. And so that was the deal there. And Noah, to answer your question, pursue Cohen from Bama. He was committed to Carolina at one point. He has been committed everywhere. I think that's the type of kid that's going to head to Miami. And Lance, we're going to talk about Graham Harrell and another offensive coordinator after the break inside the Gamecocks. The show will come back to you.
Just as your State Farm agent combines good neighbor service with surprisingly great rates, you can combine your home, auto, life, or small business insurance with Tony Pope State Farm Insurance today. And guess what you'll get? That's right, even more good neighbor service with surprisingly great rates. In fact, Tony Pope State Farm is your go-to agent anywhere in South Carolina, North Carolina, or Georgia for the service you deserve at the price you want. So try combining your home, life, auto, and or small business insurance today. Tony Pope State Farm has been in business for more than 30 years and can handle anything you need in the tri-state area. Once again, Tony Pope State Farm will help you mix and match perfectly. Call 843-851-2222 or visit TonyPope.com today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Whoop, whoop, easy. He's got a tiger by the tail, he has.
He better hang on too.
People have spoken. Nana's Porch was voted the 3rd best food truck or trailer by the Charlotte newspaper Public Poll. Also, their pimento cheese took 3rd in a contest exclusively for products made in the state of North Carolina. I will let Noah Hall tell you about the rest. Nana's Porch, Southern cuisine with an uptown twist. If you're in the upstate of South Carolina and are in need of residential real estate services, Cindy Bass Searfoss of Caldwell Banker Kane is for you. Ask her about the village at Creekside, all of her listings in my hometown of Spartanburg, South Carolina, right there on Daniel Morgan Avenue, married to a lifelong Gamecock fan. And many of our listeners have already bought homes from her and been 100% satisfied with the detail and care she uses. Cindy Searfoss, 864-414-5271, Caldwell Banker Kane in the upstate for your real estate needs.
This is Braylon Wimmer, South Carolina Gamecock Baseball, and you are listening to Inside the Gamecocks, the show with JC and Phil. Go Cox!
Welcome back. Inside the Gamecocks, the show. Second hour of the show is brought to you by the Burgesson team at Remax at the Lake. Give Adam or Derek a call or shoot Adam an email at aburgesson@remax.net. That's ABERGESON @remax.net. So looking back in the award-winning Nana's Porch chat box, JC, let's see. I was trying to find, was it Lance talking about offensive coordinators?
Yeah,
years here. We get away from the doom and gloom, which I don't know. I don't view it as doom and gloom in the portal. I just think it's the realities of where we are in college football landscape right now.
Yeah, I get it, but coordinator Graham Harrell. He's a name that's been mentioned for a while. West Virginia offensive coordinator was at SC, former Texas Tech quarterback. No, Kevin Wilson got Tulsa. I don't know who got North Texas, or if it's Graham Harrell or not. He'd be a good guy. I mean, air raid background, but they run the ball quite a bit. USC and West Virginia, or Southern Cal and West Virginia, both. I have to say Southern Cal on this show, right? And so, I don't know. I think you could do a whole lot worse than Graham Harrell. I think the players South Carolina has fit his system. I don't know if that's the direction Beamer will go. I talked to somebody that's kind of familiar with the landscape in North Carolina, and I can't. Phil Longo's been a guy that's been talked about a lot. I can't rule him out either, based on a conversation I had today. I have not put that out anywhere yet, so you guys are kind of getting the scoop there. I don't know that it's much scoop. I think that it's just like can't rule him out, and honestly, Phil, from the start, Longo has been a guy. He's at North Carolina. I've heard about him since the day Beamer got hired, and I'm not quite sure what the connection is there. I think maybe he crossed paths with Pete Limbo up in the Northeast, because I think they were both at Ursinus or near, or maybe he was at Slippery Rock and Limbo was at Lehigh, something like that. I don't know. But I was trying to, maybe Beamer just knows him. Maybe from his days at Sam Houston State or whatever. But that's the deal. Chuck said, given West Virginia had a losing record, if it was Harrell, wouldn't it be done already? Not if he's kind of like, not if Beamer wants to talk to one guy before he makes a decision, that kind of thing. And this is what I was told Friday. It was like, Contact told me, JC, that he's like, they're making a good offensive coordinator hire, right? He's like, but Beamer's probably just got a couple of guys he still wants to talk to before they make a move on somebody. So that's it. And I also wonder with this Dan Mullen talk, if Brian Johnson, who I've shut that down because I've heard he's getting head coaching jobs in the NFL and all this good stuff, but you think about it, he's a quarterbacks coach up there. He's not calling the play. He's not running his show. If he has designs on being a head coach in college football, and he's the former Florida OC that played quarterback for Mullen and all that. He's with the Eagles now. Has made Jalen Hurts into an NFL starter. Running it in SEC with a bunch of good players, that's probably something that could be attractive. People are like, well, no, not an NFL guy. Well, he's not really an NFL guy. He just got to the league, and he actually interviewed for the South Carolina head coaching job when Beamer got it. And contacts tell me that he was one of the more impressive interviews that they had, just kind of blew him away.
Well, and it's interesting that Mullen didn't just stop with the definitive, it's not going to be me. He continued that statement on to say, but they are going to hire a really good one.
Now Mullen knows Longo too. Mullen's back from the Longo Limbo area too. And so who knows? Who knows what's true and what's not? If I get anything concrete, I'll definitely put it up on the Big Spur. Ryan says Johnson makes $600,000 with the Eagles. He'd leave in a heartbeat to come here.
If he's got designs on,
do it.
Head coach,
if he'd leave in a heartbeat,
collegiate level, yeah.
I mean, the guy is a superstar. I mean, I think Brian Johnson is unreal. I just never thought he would have any interest because, kind of like Thomas Brown up there, the former Gamecock running backs coach. And then you do have to think about the pain in the ass it is. But excuse me, can I say ass? I think I can say ass.
Sure.
The pain in the ass it is to coach in college. Because just what we talked about, the transfer portal. Think about that. I mean, you have to recruit guys over to, in the pros, you may have to work 12 hours a day, but it's just about ball.
Yeah.
Right?
And here's the other side of that is that, Philly right now looks like they're the odds on favorite to be the NFC representative in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So how long is that going to delay things if you do go that route,
Yeah.
Is he just going to leave? Yeah, who knows?
So, yeah. So, Sean says, when will we find out if Clayton White and Pete Limbo are, I don't know. So, I don't know. Chuck says, given West Virginia had a losing, so he says, say anything you want, it's your show. Oh, yeah. I just want to make sure I'm not violating any kind of, protocol right there.
Right.
Jerry
Yeah,
says,
it's our show, but yeah, YouTube controls some stuff. Yeah, if you'll notice, our Sanford and Son theme bumpers going.
Yeah, they flagged us for copyright infringement. I'm like,
yeah.
Anyway, Jared says, do we know if Brian Call plays at all? Had Mullen in his ear. I like the guy, but we need a play caller. He is. That would be one I would not worry about. And I think if you notice, now look, okay, so he's like Joe Brady, right? You know what I'm saying? Like Joe Brady at LSU, the 1 year he was there, and they let it on fire. Steve Ensminger was technically the OC. Joe was passing game coordinator. Ensminger called the plays, set it up, all that. But it was actually an interesting thing, kind of like what happened with Mullen and Johnson that last year at Florida. Mullen would run his stuff, but then Johnson would fire him in. So I don't know. And Brian Johnson's a former quarterback. I don't know that he'd have problems calling plays. I understand the hesitancy to have somebody that's not got a big track record, but that would probably be one guy I would make an exception for, just because I know what people think of him and kind of who he is and what he can do and all that happiness. But that's, who knows if he'd go there or not. I'm just maybe speculating based on Mullen's comments. So M.A. Dare says, are players allowed to enter the portal to test the waters, then change their mind, and then exit the portal and stay if the school will take them back?
Right. Yeah, that has to be mutually decided upon.
I don't think Jaheim's coming back. So just to let you know, I don't think there's any kind of offer that's going to bring him back. And I think that was just kind of the parting of ways, that happened. That's the thing right there. With all of that. So I don't see him coming back. Now Alabama, Jalen Moody last year, who's from Conway, got in the portal for a minute, and he went back to Alabama and started. So, but Will says the bridge has been burned, and it has. iHelp Consulting mailbag. Really appreciate iHelp Consulting. They've been with me from the start. Love them. Oh, the state's writing stories on Mullen chiming in to say he's not coming to Columbia. Oh, good job. Ross says, catching up on Monday's episode while scrolling Twitter, right as JC says, the new OC should know how to use Bell. I see the news he hit the portal, wishing the best, but threw up in my mouth. Yeah, timing with this kind of stuff, timing couldn't be better. I mean, I had just gone through like a whole knockdown, drag out debate on the board on the Big Spur about how people were panicking about Beamer not making a hire, and it's the same group of guys. I mean, they weren't happy after they beat, they weren't happy after they beat Tennessee and Clemson. And like I said, some people just get so nervous and upset and jittery. They use the message board to sort of vent. And here's the thing, guys. I mean, I've met many people that are the worst, seem like horrible human beings on the message board, right? They come across like miserable people. They're the nicest people you'd ever want to meet. I think they just use the message board for, everybody's kind of got their thing. I think they use the message board to vent and be frustrated and maybe be somebody that they're not. And then I've met some people that are super duper nice on the message board that are, sunshine and rainbows and all that. And you meet them in real life and you're like, ooh, you're kind of militant with the sunshine and rainbow stuff. And it's not always that way. I mean, I'd say 98% of the people from the board and the site and the show and everything else I've met in real life, including all of you that I met in Kentucky at Keeneland that day. That was an honor and a privilege for me. I mean, my fiance was like, why did they come up and talk to you? And they're like, because they're on my message board and watch my show. And they're like, do they know you? They know they know you wear sweatpants all the time. I'm like, yeah, no, I don't know. Hey, you know, I wear sweatpants all the time.
Well, that's the thing about radio, and the aspect of what we do is that you feel like you develop a bit of a relationship with these people who, they visit you for a couple hours a day, every day. We're constantly there.
Sit here and talk ball, Yeah. So here's another IL Consulting mailbag question, and you can get in the mailbag on Twitter if you tweet to @theBigSpurPod, as well as our email address. And Gamecock fan 83 says, I know there are more pressing issues with the portal, especially with last night's news, but don't recall any mention of the men's basketball win Saturday on Monday's show. May not mean much in the long run, but was nice come from behind victory. I do love the pod, and thanks to y'all for doing it. I think we mentioned it like going to a break, Phil, but we didn't really dig into it. Overtime victory. They did come back. I thought they fought hard. Gigi Jackson with a great game. Few Gamecock fans up there in D.C. for that one. We'll see what they can do moving forward. I mean, I think that's the kind of win that can kind of calm everybody down because, you want to talk about panicky, that season was going south in a hurry. So,
I don't think anybody had real big expectations for this basketball team, but if we see the incremental improvements before we get into conference play here soon, then we can kind of raise our level of expectation a bit. But I don't understand some of the flack that Gigi's catching. I mean, he's averaging over 17 points a game. What more do you want from the kid? He's a freshman.
I have no idea. I mean, I don't have any problem with what he's doing out there. I mean, he's going to make some mistakes, and if you watched him play high school ball or AAU ball, I'm sure he would make mistakes there. Nobody's perfect. And I think that's a big problem these days with 5 stars. I mean, dude, Zach Pickens was a true freshman, was behind guys like Kinlaw. I don't think he's a 5-star. Well, why? Why is that? Because he's not Dexter Lawrence. Well, Dexter Lawrence is a freak and only comes out. There's a Dexter Lawrence once every 5 years. Okay. And people are not a 5-star. So I think that's the pressure. And, look, I know Gigi, I think he did some really good things right on Saturday and really put the team on his back. And I think that has to continue, but you're absolutely right. We didn't mean to gloss over it. I actually sat there and watched, turned football off and watched the overtime of that. Michael says, thoughts on the North Dakota State offense. I emailed about this a few weeks ago, and if you responded, I totally missed it. I've been a fan of it, and it's multiple like Beamer seems to want. Any interest in Tyler Roll for their OC? He was OC when Zeb was out there, so some familiarity. And maybe out of the box. I think it would be out of the box. I'm not quite sure about that system. How much option do they run at North Dakota State? And how much quarterback run game and all that would be my question. I haven't watched it. I know they're almost like an App State, except for they really like power run. And I don't know that you can depend on that at South Carolina. Now, look, do I think it's a heck of an offense and would I complain? No, I'd give it a shot. I'm just not quite sure, I'm not quite sure how to square it, but I may feel different if I wouldn't watch them on film. I certainly have a lot of respect for their program. Right?
Yeah. I saw a few highlights of just being spurred by that tweet, and most of it looks like there's some creativity in the running game, but a lot of just power football, which, you can get one-dimensional that way, and that's not going to work.
Yeah, no doubt. So that's good. All right. So I've got I got somebody soliciting me to build an app for our business. No. I mean, we may get an app at some point, but not right now. Not especially from
somebody random emailer.
Not that. But and then got some other stuff in here. So that wraps up the mailbag. We'll get to that. Actually, I'll read Colby's playoff email when we get back. But we got to get to our first break of the second hour. We'll be back after this short one here on Inside the Gamecocks show. Hey, man, are you sick and tired of your business computer guy?
Yes, he takes forever to call me back and doesn't always respond to the requests.
Yeah, same here. I'm paying him good money. I constantly have issues, and I'm worried he's not backing up my network and securing it properly.
Oh, I feel that, man. My head hurts, but I have a good lead on a good idea. I'm calling your boy Matthew Odom today from Heritage Digital. Heritage Digital is an IT firm that specializes in making sure your IT network runs like a dream. If you have 1 or 500 employees, it doesn't matter. They do it all for one monthly fee and have clients from South Carolina all the way to California.
Yeah, I heard that monthly fee's low too, so I don't know why I didn't even think of that. Do you have 843-699-1001 as Matt's contact number?
Yeah, man, I sure do that. Or you can go to heritagedigital.com.
Man, I hear they do a no-cost assessment. Boy, this will help me.
Yeah, I bet.
I'm getting on that and encouraging everyone else to do the same. Heritage Digital, 843-699-1001 or heritagedigital.com, a proud sponsor of Inside the Gamecocks, the show.
You can't handle the truth. Gamecock Nation, do you need a place to stay for the big game? Many hotel booking engines keep all the commissions, but at Fan Plans, you support Inside the Gamecocks, still earn your hotel loyalty points, and you receive an email with direct confirmation from the hotel. Whether you are visiting Columbia to cheer on Carolina or hitting the road to follow the team, get in the stands with Fan Plans.
Yep, time to get back to the show. Shoot. All right, my man.
Welcome back to Inside the Gamecocks, the show, everybody. The show is brought to you by Express Sunrooms in Columbia. Give John a call, 803-446-4662, to plan your new sunroom addition for the upcoming spring and summer. And we are brought to you in the second hour by Burgess and team at Remax at the Lake. Give Adam or Derek a call or shoot him an email at abergeson, that's ABERGESON, at remax.net.
Congratulations to women's basketball center Camila Cardoso, who was the SEC Player of the Week. I don't think she'll be the last women's basketball star at South Carolina to actually, I guess, get that award. How do you say it this year? That kind of thing. So we'll see. We'll see how many more they do there. And again, yeah, congrats to Lamont Paris for beating Georgetown. I should have mentioned that. Austin says some posters use Big Spur like a 65-year-old lady uses Facebook.
They put recipes up?
Recipes? My mom, she'll copy and paste this. I need your attention right now. I will be upset if ever, or it's something about like, and they're good-hearted posts. They're about like people with cancer, but then you always worry because you're like, my God, Mom, are you okay? And it's just this thing like say something at the bottom for this. Their engagement post. So they use that. I remember the meme where that lady was like, I will destroy ISIS. Remember that? ISIS. I will destroy ISIS.
I will destroy
That's hilarious.
ISIS.
So that's good there. Dwayne says, Coach Beamer improved the Gamecock through the use of last year's portal. I expect the same results this year. Yeah, I think they're going to have a good portal class. Keep in mind, too, the high school / JUCO class is 15th in the country. And so you're acquiring talent behind like the portal guys will probably play earlier. And then last year's high school class is 25th. They like a lot of those guys that redshirted this year. I think the portal helps South Carolina way more than it hurts so far. Mm-hmm. Now, if NIL, if it starts to become this free-for-all where all the kids are just free agents, like go where the money's at, after developing. I mean, because, an Alabama fan that's a friend of mine pointed this out to me last night. She said, so you're telling me these kids go and they get trained up by Nick Saban, and Nick Saban works with them and his staff works with them, develops them, and then they can just leave and go play someplace else? I was like, yeah, that's pretty much it. Roll Tide. I mean, you want to take, Carolina people, Alabama people are like shot. They're like, of course they'll go get 15 guys from the portal that are better anyway. I mean, Saban's he's not going to care.
Right. But, he's not going to kick it like Clemson. It'll be interesting to see if Clemson actually hits the portal this year and tries to bring in some talent a bit more than what they've been used to.
If I were Dabo, Phil, I would probably, and South Carolina people really probably don't want him to do this. I'd look for guys from within the state,
Right. Yeah.
because they have more out of state guys than in-state guys, like this Fentrell Cypress guy that is from Rock Hill that played at Virginia. I'd probably go try to get him or something. The word is he wants to go to Ohio State, which I didn't finish my Gene Smith hypocritical story because and I've said it a couple of times after he was outraged by all this. The next thing I know, I'm like, well, you can't get this guy. And this was a Clemson source. Clemson not be able to get that guy. Ohio State's paying him $2 million. I'm like, for that kid?
Right.
Jeez.
For that kid? I know.
Yeah, I mean, Urban Meyer's just sitting up there bored going, oh, they're going to, he pretends like he's coaching again. He's probably going to be crying and eating a pizza because of the amount of entitlement. And it's already starting to show at Ohio State.
Right.
I mean, look, the University of Michigan probably does have NIL deals. It is not nearly the level that Ohio State's is on, right? They don't recruit nearly as, 5-star Shangri-La, blah, blah, blah.
No, yeah.
What happened in the game this year? They lined up and mashed the piss out of them.
Just out-stronged them, I mean, just out-physicaled them. Yeah.
Without their best player. I mean, Michigan didn't have its best player, the running back.
Yeah, Corum. Yeah. He wasn't even in the game. Nope.
Yeah. So, it's going to be interesting to see kind of what happens. And then you got Miami. Tisk. They were awful. So, anyway, Krieger says find some joy. Paris needs to make GG mad before every game. Yeah, Paris got after him at halftime, and he just went crazy. So, in the second half. Saunders says a TBS app would be great, not going to lie. We're at the mercy of 24/7 and CBS on that, but I think they're going to work on it. I don't know. So, J. Wright says, JC and Phil, in your opinion, who was the most dominant defensive lineman for the Gamecocks in the 2000s so far? Are you talking about the 2000s, or since 2000?
Or for the past 20 years?
I'd have to say Clowney.
I think
followed by Melvin Ingram probably would be number 2 for me. If you're talking about interior guys, D tackles. Well, Melvin lined up at D tackle some. I'm trying to give Melvin this award here.
He's well deserving.
Yeah, it's got to be like Clowney or Ingram, I would think, as far as dominant goes. But there are a lot of guys that would scare you. I mean, just to be honest.
Yeah, Kinlaw. A lot of them that were decent.
Krager says, I'm a total South Carolina degenerate. I watch every video, listen to every podcast, watch YouTube interviews. I got a problem.
Same, Craig. I watch it all, listen to it. Yeah. Try to soak it all in.
Sorry I missed this earlier, Sonder. Thoughts on the Cincinnati assistant pool? $7.2 million for assistants. $10.6 million with $3.4 going to Scott Satterfield. Assuming Beamer gets 5, how much do you think will be left for assistants? More than that. That I don't know, man. If you're Scott Satterfield, I mean, I guess you need to go get a big time defensive staff. That would be what I would do if I were him. I would probably cut bait with the rest of those guys, but or maybe he's just going to get his guys raises. Who knows? But I don't think that if Beamer gets a raise by any stretch, they're going to, shrink the budget for assistant coaches. Right. That would be that would be, you want to talk about red flags. That would be a red flag. Lance says, is Park Avenue no more, just on hold till loophole is found? It's on hold right now. Best I can say. I can't say a lot about it. But that was my feeling there. Krager said homemade catfish stew and salad on this cold, rainy day. I've had catfish stew before. I don't dislike it. I'm not a big fish guy, but salad's pretty good. Jerry says that sounds excellent. Chuck says Rattler comes back, we can navigate to a 10-2 or better season. I imagine South Carolina will have another Heisman in the case. If he keeps playing like he's done the last 2 games and he gets some receivers, and I mean, you just never
possible.
Yeah, you never know. And I started thinking about the schedule. The The issue with the schedule next year is the road games because you got to go to Georgia, Tennessee, Texas A&M, and Missouri. Not really concerned about North Carolina in Charlotte if the Gamecocks get players back. That's the thing. Not really, who they played, a Mississippi State at home. Clemson's going to be tough. I'll be honest. Clemson's going to come looking for revenge, right?
Mm-hmm.
Revenge. But it could be a season like that. I mean, South Carolina, if the right people come back and they add, and I think arguably if the guys come back on offense, assuming they all stay healthy, I think it's important that they go get some guys on defense. A little bit disappointed maybe in some of in the portal haul on defense last year. Another thing is Devontae Reed. I thought he would be good, but he got banged up. Came in a little small. Terrell Dawkins gets hurt. They did not take any linebackers. Edge. They need to get. We all talk about the offense. They need to get after it on defense in the portal. I mean, they just standing pat and not looking for guys to help on all three levels is not acceptable, in my opinion. And so hopefully Clayton White and those guys will get after it. Big Slamajana, thoughts on the Heisman finalist? I don't think that much of the Heisman.
No. I mean, how many votes went in before championship weekend? I mean, that's one thing. It's kind of like the AP voters. I mean, how many of them are there's like 1,000 Heisman voters? Why? There's not 1,000 media people following every school that close or that thoroughly.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm shocked that Hooker. I mean, Hooker got hurt. I mean, are you hold that against a guy?
Right.
I mean, his season ended. So what are you judging him on, that he got hurt? I think he deserved an invite. Maybe he wasn't a guy who's going to win it. I tell you who I want to win it, Stetson Bennett.
I'm fully behind the mailman. I am. Give it to him.
I mean, just Stetson Bennett. Look, man, you want to give it to a guy that's Caleb Williams is an outstanding player. Don't get me wrong, but what is it? So at some point, if you're comparing two outstanding players, you got to start looking at all right, who's the mercenary? And who's the former walk-on, the championship winner and a winner? Mm-hmm. What has Caleb Williams ever won with everything on the line? Nothing.
Yeah, and
not a damn thing.
No, and the whole narrative around Stetson Bennett, because it's like he's just a quarterback who's surrounded by 10 NFL players. I'm like, no, so's Caleb Williams.
Yeah, I mean,
that we're bought and paid for.
I used to think that about Stetson Bennett until about we got into last year, and I was like, this kid's actually good.
Yeah, right. He's not bad. He waited his turn, stuck it out, and yeah, I agree. I'm 100% behind that. But like I said, since they allow them to vote before the championship week, I don't think he's going to win. I think he's just going to go up there, and I wouldn't go.
Yeah. Sean says Drake May says it's his intention to stay at UNC. John fell for a fake account. I think that the penalty for starting fake accounts on Twitter and tweeting out news and going through the links some of these clowns do to make it fake and trick people, that should be punishable by death. Hey, look.
It's a little harsh, but I can see there may be the justification for that.
It ticks me off though. I think they should at least be smacked around a little bit, but because it's like kid stuff, But by the way, though, with the way some people treat Twitter, they would probably be just fine with the death penalty if somebody, God forbid, tweets something they don't agree with.
Yeah. Right.
Will said there's need a veteran corner just in case some of the young guys aren't ready. Yeah, he's got Marcellus Dial and then ... Saunders says, thanks for circling back, guys. Just curious if our admin is as sold on Beamer as the rest of us. Hopefully that open up the pocketbook and don't get cheap. Well, you have to think about this, man. When you're talking about assistant coaches and raises and stuff, Will Muschamp got a bunch. Right? And quite frankly, Beamer should have gotten a raise last year. And I don't know who decided he wasn't, but I think, I think that was unfortunate. You come in 2.75, you're the lowest paid in the SEC. You have a winning season. You make progress. You beat Florida and Auburn. You're recruiting well. You deserve a little raise. I thought,
something, right? Yeah, maybe not a contract extension, but a rework or something. And then, I think Beamer got screwed by Muschamp in that regard because everybody's like, well, we moved too fast on him and gave him too much and too soon, and we have to temper our expectations because this guy's never been a coordinator and he's still, young and inexperienced. Well, we got real results now.
All right, so John's got an update on the fake account. It doesn't look fake, I'll say that. More like pretend journo than fake. Look, I'll just lay this out from what I've heard. Drake May's got some options in the portal if he wants to explore them. I'm pretty sure that's the player Mac Brown was talking about tampering 10 or 15 guys. That's the thing. And as far as how it affects Longo, talking to the person today, he speculated that would maybe be, maybe Longo would look to get out. I don't know. That's just kind of Longo's got a lot of fans, around South Carolina and stuff. And then, that's the deal there. All right. We got a couple of minutes before our final break. Rack the Japper. I think that's how you say it. Consider the current SEC teams, which division you see holding the most power over the next 5 years? Well, I don't think, unfortunately, the divisions are going to last for five years because when Oklahoma and Texas come in the league in 2025, they're going to do away with them, if not before then. And that's a TV thing that I don't like. I'll be honest.
Yeah, no.
I'm not a fan of like one versus 10. But what they're trying to do is get like a marquee matchup and avoid like Purdue and Michigan. A little anticlimactic, right?
Or the ACC. Although I'm going to miss the Coastal Division of the ACC.
Yeah. The Coastal Division was amazing.
No, it was the best. It's the best division in college football. If you want, roll the damn dice.
Every one of those sorry teams made the 7 years in a row. There's 7 teams in that division. All 7 of them, Duke, they all made one.
Yep, throw it around.
Turns. Like,
pull the name out of a hat.
Hey guys, let's take turns. Let's take turns and go play Clemson. Let's take turns or Florida State.
Mm-hmm.
If it were the same, Japper, I'd say the West still. I understand Carolina's on the way up. I understand that Tennessee had a really good year. They're probably on the way up. Georgia's outstanding. I don't, Florida, look, man, I don't know what to make of them. I don't know how much longer Kentucky's going to be Kentucky. I don't know how much longer Missouri's hemorrhaging players right now. Scared to play Kansas in a bowl.
Really?
Hashtag shake my head. You're in the SEC. I don't care how many dang players you lose to the portal.
No.
You refuse to play Kansas in a bowl game in Memphis, which is about a 4-hour drive from your campus.
Talk about running scared.
I'm like, all right, no, I'm sorry. Hi.
We don't want that.
I'm sorry, we're not going to do it. Mizzou, go Mizzou. We're going to go. So you're going to go play Wake Forest to get your butt kicked anyway. That's sad. Carolina needs to beat Missouri next year, by the way. I'm declaring it.
Yes.
So I still think the West, just because it's just such a battle. There's no Vanderbilt in the West.
You have no Missouris or Vanderbilts in the West.
It's just there's just like Arkansas is sitting around like the world's about to end because they went 6-6. And it's simply just because their quarterback got hurt. And it's a tough division. Look at A&M. I mean, so I think that's the deal there. Javon Kinlaw on the interior could make an argument for most dominant, I think. So here we go. Colby said the 12-team playoff. Yeah, Colby sent in the I Help Consulting mailbag. and he asked, and I'll answer this real quick. We'll hit our final break. Always enjoy college football because of a unique regular season where every game is like a playoff game. You can't lose. Your opportunity to win a championship would diminish. With the 12-team format, I believe it will cause the regular season not mean as much. Hundreds of great regular season matchups like Ohio State, Michigan, Georgia, Auburn, USC, Georgia would have diminished importance. I can even see players being withheld from a final regular season game because they've clinched a playoff berth. That thing that made it special and unique is ebbing away. And I'll say this. I'm not like totally disagreeing because with that many teams in a playoff and, the way I don't even think it's that, Colby. I think it's what I just talked about. The conference championship games going to this 1 versus 2, right? Because you're going to have a situation. There are some years where Auburn and Alabama are the 2 best teams in the league. So you're going to have them play one week and then turn around and play the next. If they're both undefeated and both have clinched they're going to rest up in the actual Iron Bowl and then go play for the championship, or Ohio State, Michigan. I think that that's more of a problem than a 12-team playoff, because what I think a 12-team playoff does is, so you can have a loss and still make it, but man, you got to win your conference championship if you want to get a bye. Those first round buys are going to be very important because you're going to have to win 4 games to win it all.
4 to win it all.
I think we'll actually have more meaningful regular season conference games. Now, maybe you're right. I'm not shooting you down, but my opinion is I think it'll be more meaningful regular season games. Like this South Carolina Tennessee game was big for Tennessee. Carolina still had no chance. I don't know. Carolina still wouldn't have gotten in the top 12, but
no.
If let's say Carolina had beaten Missouri earlier that year and then beat them, they'd have gotten in the top 12. So, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the expansion. All right,
regarding that, I don't like the way they give the top 4 conference championships the bye. That's the one thing about the 12-team format I don't agree with.
The conference champ getting the
I
bye.
don't like that.
They did that, I think, because some conferences wanted automatic bids for every conference champion or something like that, or auto bids for conference champion. It's not. It's like the top 6 conference champions. So you could have a situation, Phil, where if and I think that's probably the logic behind getting rid of divisions too.
Yeah.
So you don't have like a 7-5 division winner pull a massive upset. They're not going to be one of the top 6 conference champions. So 2 group of 5 teams get in.
Right. Yeah.
So,
UCF and Tulane.
Yeah, I don't know.
Of course, UCF's going to go big. No, what? Where are they going? Big 12, aren't they?
So we'll see. All right, final break. Colby, thanks for the email, by the way. Inside the Gamecocks show. We'll be back.
If you're looking to sell or buy multifamily property right here in South Carolina, the Burgesson team of RE/MAX at the Lake can help you get to closing fast and easy. Adam and Derek Burgesson both are very proud Gamecocks and are more than happy to assist you with any of your commercial real estate needs all across the state. You can email Adam at aburgesson@remax.net. That's ABERGESON@remax.net to get your next deal underway. The Burgesson team, proud sponsors of Inside the Gamecocks.
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
What's up, Gamecock fans? This is Pitcher Noah Hall. If you want some delicious food for your event, I suggest visiting nanasporch.com today to find out what they all have to offer. It's really good Southern cuisine based out of Charlotte, my hometown. I hope you guys go check it out. Go Cox and go Nanas.
I've been expecting you, Mr. Powers.
Sometime in the near future, there's a good chance I'll move back to my home area of the upstate of South Carolina. And I'm going to tell you right now, there's nobody I would use to help me find a new home except Cindy Bass-Searfoss of Caldwell Banker Kane, located in my hometown of Spartanburg, Daniel Morgan Avenue, married to a diehard Gamecock. 864-414-5271. Give Cindy a call, 864-414-5271. a proud sponsor of Inside the Gamecocks, the show.
Family vacations, a new car, a new boat, all cost money, but you don't necessarily have to make more to afford any of that if you can save cash that's flying out the window now. iHelp Consulting can help you finally get the kids to Disney World, upgrade the minivan, or drop that new boat in the water next summer. Let Daniel and iHelp Consulting consult with you. No fees, just savings. You pay them a percentage of those savings. Save on essential services, credit card fees, you name it, let them find it. These folks are incredible. iHelpConsulting.com. How can I help you?
Hey, Mo Cowboy here from the Carolina Gamecocks. You're listening to Inside the Gamecocks, the show with JC and Phil.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. Final segment here, wrapping it up on a Tuesday.
I think that's the first time we played that ad bed.
I like that one with the music behind it, man. Yeah, that was a good one. And then we brought Mo back, and
Mo's back. He's off IR, man.
We got Mo back off IR.
Mo back. So Sauter says 17-0 is impossible with the model. Yeah, because an undefeated team wouldn't be their conference champ.
Right.
I don't think. Yeah, I'm trying to wrap my head around that. Oh, this is funny. Brian says, speaking of Purdue, they have a chance to be the first 8-6 team I've ever seen. Now I'll say this. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Clemson? No. They were 9-4.
I was going to say, I think it was a 4-loss Clemson champ. Yeah.
And they were about to be 9-5. Carolina was 9-5 in 2010. They lost 5 games that year. 8-6. That's an ugly football record, man. Because in the NFL, it means you may be on the bubble for the playoffs if you win the next 3 weeks. But 8-6 in college ball is like, well, we were sort of 6-6, but we won 8. Scratch your head, it's like wow. I don't know. The conversation, there's always a lot of ways you can do it. Some people said that you should play the bowls and do a +1, or play the bowls and do a 14 playoff or something like that. I wouldn't be opposed to that either. But then you're dealing with that committee and that dude, the Boo Corrigan or whatever.
Oh my goodness! For the playoff committee, he does
such
not.
A clown. I mean, get some. I mean, Jeff Long did it a couple of years ago. I mean, he's awful. I mean, come on, guys, stop getting these stuff suit morons that don't know. It should be called the excuse interview. Like, what excuse do you have for making this decision? What are your excuses here? And I don't know. I'm not one of those, once I thought about it, that's all like, Bama should have made playoff, SEC roll tide. But Nick Saban did have Nick Saban always has like a point that you go, that's smart. Yeah. Huh. He's like, well, I just want to ask who would be favored if we played them on a neutral field. All right. He's like, all right. And now poor Bama, they got 25 opt-outs. They got to go play Kansas State, who's going to be pulling piss and vinegar, playing them in the Sugar Bowl. It's going to be like that Utah Bama. Bama doesn't do all that well when they play in the Sugar Bowl, man. Utah cut them. Oklahoma cut them one year. It's just not going to be good.
It's because it's just not what they're. I mean, those guys are already checked out. That's not what they were trying to do. Yeah, it's national championship or bust.
No playoff.
I think that's one of the advantages of 12-team the 12-team playoff though, is that you got a lot more teams. You're going to have a lot less opt-outs. Even if you incorporate the bowl structure into it, which is good. Although I like having some home matchups. I think that's awesome. Like, imagine hosting a playoff game, and
it's like high school. Yeah, it's like high school ball. You got home game. It's going to be crazy though, because like the best teams in the country, they're not going to have a home game.
No, they won't get the home game. They'll have to play in a bowl game. That's and that's the other thing I don't like is it's in the way they structured it with the top 4 conference teams and all that. But those teams aren't going to get to play at home.
Yeah,
you could flip it and have 4 bowl games and then play the home game.
Yeah, see that.
But then you're getting out of the schedule gets messed up that way.
Well, and then see, and they're this is why this is the crappy part of the bowls. They don't These bowls, they don't want like to, okay, well, let's go to the Birmingham Bowl, Bahamas Bowl, Vegas Bowl, Independence Bowl first round. They're not going to give them a piece of the pie.
No, right.
And they're not going to move the Rose Bowl. God forbid they move the Rose Bowl to December 15th. I almost think, Phil, it should be this. I think that it should be campus sites first and second round. And then keep the playoff like quarterfinals, finals, or semis like they have now. Rotate the semis.
Rotate it through the New Year Sixes, and then play a national championship in one of those stadiums. Yeah,
all the higher seeds have a home game, and if they're going to do home games, if not, then do include the smaller bowls and just make it all bowls. That's tough. That's tough for fans. And home playoff games are because, in other words, all right. So let's say South Carolina got in and they were eighth, right? Now they would have to play number one the next week but in a bowl. So South Carolina gets a home game and then gets to play on a neutral field. Let's say the number one team in the country was Southern Cal. Okay, Southern Cal, and let's say the quarterfinal bowl is in the Peach Bowl. How many Gamecocks are going to be driving to Atlanta, filling that bad boy up?
Right.
And then, Southern Cal brings some fans, but it'll be 70-30 Carolina.
Yeah, you still have home field advantage there.
Yeah, you're going to run into some situations like that, and people are going to go, well, it's not fair. Well, that's the deal there. So everybody's complimenting. They like the tune after the Mozart. Yeah, I decided to liven it up. I mean, we've had some sound issues on the show that are my fault, but I decided to kind of fix some of those and put some nice little music underneath.
Yeah, I liked it. Yeah, some
the sounds of Jamie Bradford talking about iHelp Consulting and Meredith McKellar Enterprises for Golf. By the way, check it out if you want some golf lessons and stuff like that. January, she'll start her virtual stuff. And also, don't forget fanplans.com. Talking about Carolina Rise, and be careful with the tickets because Sonder had an issue with that. But if you go to fanplans.com/inside the Gamecocks, a portion of that does go to Carolina Rise. Portion of it goes to fund here, and some of it goes to Fan Plans. So if you hadn't booked your hotel for the Gator Bowl yet, do it. I'm actually going to book my hotel here pretty soon, and I'm going to get them to add. I think they don't have it listed, so I'm going to get them to add. So there'll be some new hotels on there. So fanplans.com/inside the Gamecocks. So Trey says, I'll admit I don't know as much about Longo as I should, but he reminds me on the surface of a Brad Lawing, but for offense. He's he kind of has that vibe, right? The Brad Lawing vibe. I like Longo. I don't think people should get too weirded out about what happened with North Carolina and Clemson, because North Carolina's a soft football team. Clemson's not. I mean, say what you want about the Tigers. They're not soft. A lot of other teams in that league definitely are, but they're not soft. So I wouldn't read into like, oh, he couldn't get the offense going and all that good stuff. I just that happens when you play. And Clemson's defense, quite frankly, is very good. Very, very good. Josh says stepping in at work to see all the Bell meltdowns. Josh, we hadn't really.
People have been a bit tempered in their
yeah.
Now the message board, you want to see meltdowns, go over there.
Message board, but I don't think we've had we hadn't had the sorry, I just got a tweet that mentioned the Pool on Weed Eater Bowl. We hadn't actually on the show. We've had kind of a chill vibe about Jaheim today. Really,
we have a more discerning audience than the typical.
We do, and we appreciate it. It is growing too, though. It's growing like crazy. Quantrell says the portals had an impact on my NFL friends. They're now interested in portal news because they have hope for their teams. Parity is here. Yeah.
It's increasing. Yeah. I mean, that's one of the good things about it is that, the playing field is becoming a bit more level. There's a lot more parity in it. It allows, up and coming schools the ability to compete at a higher level. Accompany that with the increased sizes of these conferences as we keep getting bigger and bigger. It's just going to keep it's rough right now, but it's going to end up being good. I think ultimately it's going to work out.
It'll straighten itself out. I think the numbers will get like there's 3,000 kids in the portal. There's not 3,000 spots,
right?
And look, I don't want to hear, some people out there are going to be like, well, this, these college programs, and you wait, somebody will sit there and go, after they've bitched about this for years, like griped and complained, they should be able to transfer wherever they want. And they can't afford a pizza and, this, that, and the other, which, they need to be paid salaries and unionized. When they get to the unionization part of it, that's when the argument becomes political and not necessarily like what's right and wrong. But the people that said that are now all of a sudden going to victimize the players for leaving.
Right. Yeah,
and
well, they just weren't getting treated well enough there. They were being, it'll go right back to where it was, where it's that the plantation mentality that you kept hearing about.
Oh
earlier.
God,
like,
that
come
thing,
on.
You're
Come
like, man, come on, But I think that at the end of the day, you wait. That's going to happen with some of these folks that don't like college football at all. That they basically want to tear down the sport. Make it impossible to play it, but you wait. That's coming. It's going to be like, oh my God, these coaches are filling these spots when these players leave. They shouldn't be able to do that. We need some rule where players can come back,
where they can they can, if they can opt out if they want to, but the school has to take them back if they don't find them a spot. But here's the deal. You're a junior who doesn't get very much playing time, and you're going to test the waters out there. And they got 2 hot freshmen coming in that they're ready to develop. And the school says, nah, don't want to. So you roll the dice and you lost. Not everybody gets a 7 or 11. Sometimes you crap out, buddy.
Yeah, it's the game of life, man. And I think too, and I'm not saying that guys should not be able to transfer for free. I'm not saying you don't. I mean, some people like they need to. Some coaches will say they need to go back to the old rules where you have to sit. I actually like the one-time transfer. Now, these geniuses with the NCAA, the same ones that decided, hey, collectives at buying players at Miami and A&M are fine, but what South Carolina's doing, that's an extra benefit, and that's illegal.
School, can't facilitate that.
These same geniuses, like they ask him for a recommendation, and it was like, okay, here's my recommendation. Everybody can transfer anytime they want, at all times. Don't have to sit out. So you could be like Eric Stevenson and see the 4 corners of the world, JT Daniels or whoever. Which is, that was just the stupidest thing I've ever heard. One time's fine, that's kind of the thing there. Is Dawkins returning? Krager, unless it's the news has been since we've been on, I think so. I haven't heard anything about it, but I have not checked the website and all that. And Smith makes a good point, and I think we've lost the audio here, so we're about to roll. For Phil Mullinax, or I got a buzzing in my headphones. It's probably my headphones. JC Sherbert, Phil Mullinax here. Who we got tomorrow, Phil? We got Dave tomorrow?
Yep. Dave Cloninger, excuse me, right top of the show. And then, of course, JB will join us at noon.
Yeah, that's two good ones. So it'll be a 2 for Wednesday right here on Inside the Gamecocks show. Certainly, J-Rock says nobody wants to see Carolina rise. They know what's coming. Can't hold us down. That's good, J-Rock. Good. I like it there. Don't forget CarolinaRise.com. Get in. My God, the emails, just I don't even know how many we've got now, guys. Thank you. It's been a tremendous outpouring. We'll holla at you tomorrow. It's been Inside the Gamecocks show for Phil. It's JC. See ya.